welcome back. Today is July 1st and it is time for my June wrap up and my July TBR, so let's just get chatting. The first book I read in June was Wild Dark Shore. This is by Charlotte McConaughey. I didn't really know anything about this book. This was my in-person book club's pick for May, and I overall gave it I think it was a 3.5 stars. I really loved that the island the characters are on ends up becoming a character in itself and is part of the story, and I really love that in my stories. In that aspect it reminded me of Great Alone. So for that, I really loved this book. The things I didn't love about this book was, one, the ending I found really unsatisfying. And then two, the pacing as well as the writing style of this book. And where it flips point of views just didn't make sense to me and ended up leaving me feeling confused. So that's why it didn't get higher of a rating, but overall it was good, and depending on the person I would maybe recommend this book. Next, I read The Fractured Dark by Megan O'Keefe. This is the second book in the Devoted World saga. It is an adult sci-fi, and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I love that it's the middle book but doesn't have a middle book slump. It picks up right where the first one left off, and it is very action and the relationships build on, and it was just really good. I didn't feel bored at all, which I feel sometimes in a trilogy the second book is the world building book, so it is a little bit more dry, but I did not feel this way with this book, and I really enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to read the third book. I read The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. This is actually my first romance or contemporary book from Rebecca Yarros. I've only read Fourth Wing previous to this, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. I didn't give it 5 because I didn't get that wow factor that I heard a lot of people talking about. I wasn't devastated by this story. I kind of saw the plot twist happening, so it wasn't super mind-blowing, shocking, devastating to me, but overall, it was really good. I do like the timelines in these. I thought they lined up really well, and I like that we got 2 romance stories in one. It feels, the writing style in this one feels very similar to The Longest Ride by Nicholas Sparks, where the 2 timelines generations apart line up and stuff, and I really love that about this book. I will definitely be reading more contemporary books by Rebecca Yarros. I really enjoyed this one. Next, I read The Duff, and this is by Cody Keplinger. If you watched my previous video, you know why I picked up this book, but if you don't, I decided to read only books I read in high school for a week, and this was the first book I read on that. I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. I just really didn't feel connected to the characters this time around. I definitely understand why I loved this book in high school, and I can definitely appreciate that from as an adult looking in, but for me and my beliefs now, I just think this is too overly sexualized. It's not spicy, there's not descriptive scenes or anything like that, but the over-consuming thoughts of sex I just think are unhealthy, and that's why I gave it lower stars. It was okay. There were some parts where I was okay, this is funny, that aged well, and there was other parts that just didn't age well, and it was just an overall read. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't life-changing, so there you go. Then I read Born at Midnight by Cece Hunter. I gave this book 4 stars. High school, this was definitely a 5-star Roman Empire tiered book. I just gave it a little bit lower of stars because the writing is very much meant for middle grade, and I don't want to take anything away by saying that. I'm not saying it's bad. I love this book even the second time around. It just didn't quite hit a 5-star for me, but I absolutely love this book. It has everything you want in a fantasy. It has romance, the fantasy elements, supernatural creatures, friendships, found family. It is just so good, and the overall series is a 5-star series for me still, and I will be reading the rest of them this year, just slowly throughout the year, but This was so fun and so nostalgic to read again, and I just forgot how much I love this world. And it takes place in Texas. I didn't live in Texas the first time I read it, but I do now. And I just love reading about like my home and different areas because Texas is so big and so different anywhere you go. So it was just a really overall fun read. I love this. Last book I read in June was Divergent by Veronica Roth. This is actually my first ever reread of this book. I had never reread it, and I absolutely am not disappointed at all. This was a 5-star read. I will always have a very special place in my heart for this book. I really appreciate that I didn't reread it every year because when I reread it this year, there was so much I had forgotten. Like, 4 in the book is an absolute simp the entire time. He is just simping over Tris and making his feelings for her, in my opinion, so obvious and out there. Whereas like in the movie, he's a little bit more reserved. So just watching that again from an adult point of view was just so special. And these books will always just have a really, really, really special place in my heart. So I'm really excited I read this, and I will definitely be continuing the series throughout the year as well. So this is really exciting. Next, let me talk about my July TBR. This is very chaotic for me. Let me just preface this by saying I'm not typically a mood reader, but I am currently reading a lot of books. So this is not like me, but let me talk about my current reads so that we kind of have an idea for the July TBR. For the video I started last week, I started Miss Pettigreen's Home for Peculiar Children, and I haven't finished it. I'm about 100 pages in, and just like soft DNF'd it. I'm just not really feeling this right now. So I kind of put it down and picked something else up, but I am about 100 pages in. So I will maybe finish this in July, or I might pick it back up in the fall. Like, I do want to read it because it is interesting. I just wasn't, it's very fall coded, if you will. So this is a maybe on the July TBR, but I am in the middle of it, or not in the middle, but I am reading it. On my Kindle, I'm like 20% into Good Kingdom. I again just picked it up and wasn't fully vibing with it, so kind of put it down. And I really want to read it, but like I don't want to force myself to read it if I'm not in the mood for fantasy. And for the first time in like 4 years, I'm not in the mood to read fantasy. Like, it is not fantasy girl summer for me. It's just not, and I don't know how to feel about this. Also reading Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I am like 20 pages in maybe, and kind of along the same lines. Like, I tried to pick it up and just wasn't like loving it. And this is the second time that's happened. I'm not saying I'm not ever going to finish it, because I do want to read it, because I bought the book, but I again might wait for the fall. Oh, I really want to read it though. I might just force myself to read this in July, because I just really need to form my opinions on this book, because I've heard such mixed things. So I'm also reading Silver Elite. The book I'm currently reading, I actually started last night, which is Every Summer After. I like in 3 chapters in, nothing crazy, but I started this last night, and this is definitely gonna be a book I finish in July. I've just been like loving summery rom-coms, so I definitely will be finishing this one for sure. Out of all my current reads that I just showed you, this is the one I'm definitely gonna be finishing this month, so that's very exciting. Everything I just talked about except this one are like maybes on the July TBR. The books I definitely want to get to in July, first and foremost, Every Summer After. I definitely want to finish this. Are her other 3 books. Like I said, I'm just loving summery romance. I'm going on vacation at the end of this week, so I definitely will be bringing probably another one of her books, and I'm just so excited to be reading these. I've heard such amazing things, and I mostly want to read this one. That's why I picked them all up, but everyone was like, you have to read all the other ones first. So I was like, heard ya. So that's why we have all of her books, and I'm very excited about these. I have Summer Reran, Ingram, and I don't know too much about this book, but Sarah Caroli read it and she really liked it. And Book of the Month had that hat that if you bought a book, you got the hat free. So that's why I got this. But it's very summery. I feel like if I don't read it in July or August, I'm not going to end up reading it till next summer, and I really want to. I love literary fiction, so I'm definitely putting this on my July TBR, and I do see myself getting to it. I'm super excited about this. I have The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I don't really know anything about this book, but the sprayed edges were really cute, and I was at Half Price Books and I had a gift card, so this is what I picked up. But again, it just feels very like, I was gonna say rom-commy, but that's literally the title. So obviously I'm just very excited for like a summery, it looks summery romance, and I don't know anything about it, so we'll see, but I'm very excited about it. The cover just itches something in my brain, so I'm really excited about this. Next book on my July TBR is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. This is the next book for my in-person book club. We meet at the end of July, so this is probably something I'll read closer to the end, so it's like fresh in my brain. But I'm really excited about this. I had wanted to read it anyway, so I'm definitely very excited that my book club picked it for June, so that will be really fun. Lastly, I don't know exactly if we're doing this in July, but my sister-in-law and I have decided to buddy read Binding 13, and I think we're going to try to get to it in July, so I'm throwing that on the list as well. Heard very, very mixed things about this series, but I definitely want to read it, I think, so it will be fun for the emotional support to be reading it with my sister-in-law. That was my June wrap-up and my July TBR. If you watched this far, you guys already know it means the most. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all the YouTube things. And I hope you guys all have a blessed Tuesday and a great July. Bye!